First of all, hey, Kat, congratulations. Since we recorded our interview, the full interview, there's been some changes and you're in charge of Record360 now. So first of all, what's your official title so I can label you properly in the episode description?
Yes, I am the new General Manager of Record360.
Awesome. So you've now had a few weeks and you're in your new role as the General Manager of Record360. What's changed for you?
I would say no, big changes. We're still the Record360 that you all know and love. And yeah, we have some exciting product updates on the horizon. But yeah, no huge changes for me personally, I would say.
Okay, well, you're mentioning stuff on the horizon, and that goes into the next question, which is: are there any big changes for the company as it relates to anyone using Record360?
Yeah, so I would say some exciting product updates. We have our first AI feature coming out, I believe, tomorrow, which is super exciting. You'll be able to detect if images you took are blurry, and that will prompt you to retake them. So this is really a way for managers and users alike to take better quality photos in Record360 using AI, which is awesome. But I would say, obviously, with the new leadership and investment from Point of Rental, we're just really excited about what the future holds. We'll be able to work on bigger features for our customers and just generally expand the scope of what we do to provide our customers better ways to manage end-to-end their processes beyond just point-in-time inspections, which is what Record360 is known for today.
Awesome. Well, first of all, I do want to clarify for anyone that may be listening to this that since it's not coming out for a few days, this will hopefully already be out if you're saying that it's going to be ready tomorrow. So look out for that. And then the other side of things is, I'm really excited to hear about all of the developments that are coming out with Record360 and Point of Rental, and even that blur feature sounds very useful.
Definitely.
So in the interview people will be seeing right after this, I mentioned that I'm going to visit Boise this summer, and we talked about maybe going to Fancy Freeze, which I think was the name of it. I just want to say right now, this is your last chance to say no. I was just being nice in that interview. Don't actually hang out. So, are we still on? Because I looked at the menu. Yes. It looked good.
Yeah, we're still very much on. I'm excited to see you in a couple weeks.
All right, cool. Is there anything else that you wanted to tell people about Record360 or anything that's happened over the past, since we recorded the last interview?
Yeah, I'm still really, really excited to be with the business. I've been around for 5.5 years. Many of you listening to this may, have personally chatted with me if you're customers of ours. So I'm excited to continue the journey with a great company.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to have you, and we're excited that to see you and where Record360 will go in the future. So thanks for joining me again, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Front Porch with Brian Beaudry.
I'd like to welcome today's guest, Record360's Chief Operating Officer, Kat Gillis. Kat, welcome to the Front Porch.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's start with the basics. Who are you? Where are you from? And finally, what's the longest you've ever waited in line for something, and what was it?
Great questions. I'm Kat. I'm the COO at Record360. I've been with the company for a little over 5 years now. Originally, I'm from Germany. I was born in Hamburg, and my family immigrated to New Jersey when I was younger, but now I live in Boise, Idaho with my family. Waiting in line. No, I don't do that. I don't wait in line. So I actually can't think of any time I've waited in a line. I think it's the German efficiency in me.
Okay, so you are not going to like theme parks or things like that?
No.
Okay. All right. What did you want to be when you were a kid whenever you first remember having an answer for the question, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah, I think that my earliest recollection is always saying astronaut. I was very interested in space and the planets. Now, going into a rocket ship by myself, sequestered into a metal tube sounds terrible. So I would not not want to do that now. But yeah, definitely was fascinated by that as a kid.
Yeah, I never really like considered about the idea of like an astronaut. It's like you have this idea of the grandeur of space, but also you're in the tiniest little pocket of space.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so at what point did you say, no, astronaut, not for me? Let's start looking to other options.
Yeah. So in high school, I became very interested in science, specifically biology. And, one of my teachers in high school, Miss Shoup, left a very lasting impression on me in the world of biology. And I got very into research. I did research on crabs and iguanas and thought maybe there was something there. But at the same time, my neighbor was the president of a luxury jean brand, Seven for All Mankind, kind of niche. And my sophomore year of high school, she took me to New York City for a day to kind of shadow her on the job and see what she did. And that was very impactful. And that was, I think, the first time where I thought, oh, maybe I want to go work in business of some sort. And specifically apparel became interesting to me. So, the subsequent 5 to 7 years of stuff that I did was primarily in apparel and luxury brands.
Okay, so you wanted biology and luxury brands.
Yeah, I know, it's a weird combo.
I was going to say that doesn't seem like the best, because I know like biology, you're doing like a lot of field research and stuff like that. Probably not the best place.
No.
But also kind of a good catalog picture if I think about it.
I know. My husband makes fun of me now to think of me having, sat in the jungle looking at iguanas, because that's not really what I enjoy doing now. But I did at one time.
Okay, you mentioned going to the jungle and looking at iguanas. Why/how?
Yeah, so I was either my sophomore or junior year of high school. We had to do a research project, to practice the scientific method. And my family was going to the Caribbean for spring break. And so I thought, oh, maybe I'll just do my research project there. That could be kind of unique and fun. Yeah. So the specific island we were going to had, they're called stout iguanas, and they're local to the Caribbean. And so I wanted to do a project on them just, since they were there. Yeah. Came back home and submitted the research to a science group that works in the Caribbean, and they were very intrigued and basically invited me back, I think, the next 2 years to join their team and continue doing research. So since I was still in high school, I basically over spring break, took time off and went to the Caribbean. And then the following summer, the closest thing to a stout iguana is actually the Texas horned lizard. So came to Texas Tech, which is where they had, kind of an offshoot presence, and did research on Texas horned lizards.
That's interesting. So when the researchers invite you back and you're in high school, is this the thing where like your family is just like, all right, we're going to go down as well?
Oh,
or is it like
my parents thought it was very sketchy. They were like, why are you going to hang out with like a bunch of middle-aged male researchers? Yeah. They did not come with me though. No, I went by myself.
But they still let you go.
Yeah, they still let me go. That's a theme. I au paired in Italy after high school by myself, and I don't know why my parents.
I feel like it's maybe like a more European thing, because I know I talked to James Morley here at Point of Rental, and his parents were European as well, and he would just disappear for whole summers and get sent places. And
it's maybe that's right. It's
okay. That seems wild, because it's like How did your classmates in high school feel about the, here's the scientific method thing, and you're like, oh, well, I'm going to go on spring break and go to the Caribbean and do this whole thing. And everyone else is like,
put a beaker on my kitchen counter. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really remember an adverse reaction.
I was going to say, it feels like you're...
wasn't really paying attention, but... it's a good question.
I was like, way to try to outshine everyone. And go for the extra credit.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get into fashion, and is this like while you're still in school, in like college, or?
Yeah, so the summer after I graduated from high school, I had taken Italian all throughout high school and wanted to improve my Italian, so was specifically looking for summer jobs in Italy, and was able to cobble together. Basically, I au paired for half the summer for a family in Italy, and then worked for the Italian counterpart of Seven for All Mankind, my neighbor. So she was able to put me in touch with the Italian counterpart. So I worked for them for half the summer in merchandising. So basically trying to figure out how to price some of their new products.
Yeah.
And that was in Switzerland. So in the Italian speaking part of Switzerland. So I did that summer. I worked for Nike at their headquarters in Oregon for a summer.
Nice.
And then, right after college was basically, as I was looking for jobs, I was deciding between going to a software company, Percolate, they were a marketing tech company, and Kate Spade. So two very different companies. And that was the point where I thought, I don't know that I really want to spend the rest of my life or even the next year continuing to work in apparel, and software seemed more interesting to me.
Yeah, I feel like if you've gone to Italy already and like you're already selling in Switzerland and going to Nike and doing all this stuff, it's like, I think I've hit the top already.
Yeah.
Okay, so, what are you doing in the software when you start?
Yeah, so at Percolate, I was brought on to basically do product marketing. So they were looking for a junior marketer to help them on their product marketing team. I had studied neuroscience in college and, generally was very interested in marketing, product positioning, like how do you get people to understand and buy stuff. So in that role, I was at the bottom of the totem pole. So did a lot of grunt work that other people didn't want to do, dabbled in events as well. So helped with a lot of the events that they were running. And then a couple years in, their head of product approached me and said, hey, I actually think you might like product management, background in product marketing and just generally because I was a marketer on the marketing team selling marketing software, I was theoretically the end user of our product. And so it was a bit easier to make the transition in that context.
So where are you working when you're at, what was it called again?
Percolate.
Percolate. Yeah. I was going to say it's a P word. Yeah. I know it's a word. All right. Where are you working when you're working at Percolate? Yeah,
so that was in New York City. So my boyfriend at the time, now husband, was teaching in Philadelphia, and so I wanted to be in a city sort of close to Philly, and took this job at Percolate in New York, and was there for about 4 years. First half on the marketing team, second half on the product team, and then my husband is originally from Seattle, so we wanted to eventually make the move out to Seattle and try to, plant our roots out there. So once he was in law school in New York, and then once he was done with law school, we decided it's time to move to Seattle. So I started looking for roles in Seattle specifically, which is how I stumbled upon Record360.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask, it's like, was there a step in between here in Record360, or is it just... So how do you find Record360? You're going... This is not marketing tech, so this is something completely new. Why did this appeal to you?
Correct. Yeah. I changed my LinkedIn location to Seattle, and an hour later, a recruiter reached out and was like, "Oh, I'm looking for a head of product at this weird company in Seattle."
Wait, was that their?
That was basically their pitch. Okay. I still have my message from her. She's a good friend now. She recruits for us all the time, Lauren, and she basically, sent me this very janky job description, and so Lululemon has a big presence in Seattle, so I was like, maybe I should do something there again. So was simultaneously interviewing at Lululemon, but was very intrigued by the Record360 thing. Their CEO at the time, Jesse, was super exuberant and excited and just totally sold me on what they were doing. It was a small team. There was 10 of us. They had just been purchased by Alpine Investors, the private equity firm that owned us for 5 years. And it just seemed like an exciting opportunity, definitely higher risk. Like, I had never, to that point worked at a 10-person company and didn't quite know where things would go, but took the job and moved out to Seattle 2 weeks later.
Wow. What?
I'm really not adventurous normally.
It sounds like you're willing to go everywhere and on all these things. And it's like, it didn't seem like you were fighting with your husband as far as like, he wants to go back to Seattle. And you're like, well, yeah, I'm up for going.
Yeah. I greatly prefer smaller cities. I grew up in a small town in Princeton, New Jersey. New York City was super overwhelming. And so I was ready to get out of there. Seattle was smaller. Obviously now
I was going to say
now
most
in
places
Boise.
are smaller.
Yeah. So we've progressively gotten smaller and smaller, which is great. But yeah, no, I moved 5 months before my husband did. I was living with his parents because he still had to graduate from law school. So yeah.
I was wondering about the timing. It's like, wait.
Yeah.
you were trying to plan ahead,
Yes.
and then it's like 2 weeks later.
Yeah, I moved very, very quickly.
Okay, so I guess what were those first few months like at Record360? You got a small team that you know, that's the first time you're dealing with it. You're living with your boyfriend at the time, husband?
Were we married? Good question. Yes, we were married.
Okay.
My husband.
You're living with your husband's
so
parents.
Upset that I didn't remember that.
Look, time is all a jumble, especially in recent years. Anyway, you're living with your husband's parents.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That also has to be interesting.
It was a great time.
Yeah. So, what were those first 6 months like for you?
Yeah, it was definitely chaotic. I think for me, there was an adjustment of, bigger. Percolate was 300 people. So I guess, right around the size of Point of Rental now. And there were so many things that I wanted to do, and I had to get really good at prioritizing my list every day because, with a 10-person company, there's a lot of things that you can fix, but that you probably shouldn't yet. So very, very steep learning curve. And initially I was just focused on our product and kind of working on, like, we had no semblance of a roadmap. No one was doing customer interviews. That there was no real product management function in place. So I really focused on standing that up. And then after that, we had no customer experience team. So that was kind of the next area to tackle. 6 months in, I stood up our customer experience team, hired my first employee, Sarah, who's still with the company today. And kind of tried to take things down one by one.
All right. I might ask for your help at some point on being able to set priorities, because I'm definitely like, it's like everything is a priority, and that's not the best way.
I'm assuming you've done the Myers-Briggs.
I have.
Are you a P?
I am a P.
Yeah, you're a P.
I used to be a J, though, when I was a kid, and I took it.
Yeah.
And then I became a P.
That's interesting.
Yeah. What does a chief operating officer do? Because it sounds really very responsible and like you have a lot of stuff on your plate.
Yeah, that's a great question. So many COOs I talk to, like, I feel like we all do something slightly different. It's a very variable role within the company. So at Record360 specifically, I oversee our marketing, customer experience, product and engineering teams, and then just general operations. So, a couple years ago rolled out, I don't know if you've ever read the book Traction, but they have something called the Entrepreneurial Operating System, EOS, which is basically like an operating rhythm for how to run a company. So I'm responsible for maintaining that and making sure that we all set goals on a quarterly basis and execute on them. And then, a smattering of other random things.
Okay. What's the most challenging part of the job?
I do think, I mean, I love lists and am good at working through lists. But figuring out what to prioritize and have the entire company focus on is the hardest and most stressful part of the job. Like, you want everyone pointed in the same direction, and for that to be super clear. But yeah, that's also hard to do.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like at least when you're prioritizing for yourself, it's like, yeah, I can deal with whatever. It's my choice. But putting other people through it is a bit more challenging.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. What is your favorite part of what you do?
I'll say two things. One, the people that I get to work with and interact with. I love our team. Especially to think back, 5 years ago, we had 10 people. Now we're at about 30 people. And many of those I have personally hired, or at least, been involved in hiring. And we just have a really great group of people that are all committed to their jobs and just kind humans. The other thing is Salesforce admin. I love Salesforce admin, and that should not be part of my job. And Abby's going to laugh when she hears that, but it just gives me great satisfaction.
Why is that so satisfying?
It's, a discrete task that you can see immediate results from, I guess.
I guess it is nice to be able to see immediate results.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we get into your non-professional life, I want to play a game with you. We'll call it Cat or Dog. If you agree with the statement or it's true, say cat. If you disagree with it or if it's not true, say dog. Okay. And then I'll need a reason. And I apologize in advance for maybe making this seem like you're anti-dog. You did not say that. I just wanted to do something with your name.
I'm anti-cat and anti-dog, so you're all good.
Oh, that's poor dogs. All right. I've since changed the first question. What did I change the first question to? Oh, yeah. So the first question is now, you've recently cried at a movie.
Oh.
Cat or dog?
Which one is no?
Dog.
Dog.
You don't cry at movies?
No.
Okay. Interesting. Noted. Cat or dog, you've cheated at a board game?
Dog. Hard dog.
All right. Are you very judgmental, and are you the person that, like, if you see someone trying to cheat, you're just like, no.
I become outraged. Like, play fairly and then win by playing fairly,
Okay. Cat does not have time for your nonsense at the board game table. Cat or dog, you've told an outrageous lie to a child?
Oh, cat.
So it's okay to lie to children.
Yeah.
We've established that.
Yeah.
What's your favorite lie that you can share?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, a couple weeks ago, we told our son that Sesame Street has been canceled and he can never watch Sesame Street ever again. And
why did you tell him this?
I can't stand Elmo's voice. Why does Elmo talk like that?
I don't know, but I guess this isn't the time to try out my Elmo impression.
Oh,
no. Cat or dog, your favorite fast food fries are from McDonald's?
Dog, because I truly thought that this question was placed here by Wayne or Lauren. I've never eaten at McDonald's, so I don't.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what the fries taste like.
I was going to say, then what are your favorite fast food fries?
I don't. The last time I had fast food was at Wendy's when I was 7, and my grandma was visiting from Germany and wanted to take me and my siblings to Wendy's.
Wow.
So
and they've probably changed their recipe a bunch of times since then too.
Yeah.
So, wow. We are two very different people. Cat or dog, you have an embarrassing nickname or a nickname that you hate?
Dog. I have some nicknames. Wouldn't say. I mean, Kat in and of itself is a nickname. My full name is Katerina, but it's spelled with an H. So then people always inevitably say Catherine or Katharina or whatever. So I stick with Kat to make everyone's lives easier.
Okay.
My husband really wanted a nickname for me when we first started dating and tried to make Thar happen.
All right, thinking outside the box.
Didn't stick. Yeah.
Okay. Before we get into the personal life questions, let's take a break.
At first, I was excited that people really started noticing me.
Looking good, Scotty.
Hey, Scott, where'd you get that shirt?
That shirt? Jeez! Hey, you been working out?
But now it's hard to not feel like a piece of meat sometimes. Yeah, no, so I'm just working on this profiles things for Salesforce and I just don't know. But dude, come on, my eyes are up here. The shirt is really nice though. I just wish people would stop obsessing over it. Hey, come on, man, not you too. All right, this interview's over.
First of all, I want to thank you for providing me with so many fun facts in our pre-interview questionnaire. Oh, dang, I have all these parenthetical questions. Okay, my daughter just started playing violin probably around the beginning of this year / late last year. And you mentioned that you played violin as well. So, you said you went places. I know it seems like everything you do takes you places. But what did you do in violin? Tell me about your violin experience.
Yeah, so I started playing violin in, I want to say, second grade. We got to pick an instrument. I picked the violin.
Was there a reason or just
My recollection is that it was pretty random, but, obviously something drew me to it. My sister started playing piano at the same time.
Yours is a lot more portable.
Yes, a lot more portable, yeah. So I played violin for many years, up until I went to college, and actually just recently picked up lessons again as an outlet from my 3 crazy children. But my older sister played piano, my little sister played cello, so we performed as a trio a bunch. We played locally in Princeton and at our high school and at our middle school. So that was a lot of fun. And then in high school, I joined an orchestra at my school, and we went to, I think this is just what they do. Every 2 years, they pick an international trip. I don't know if they still do this, but my sophomore year, we went to Beijing, China, and traveled all over performing as an orchestra and also just doing touristy type things. Yeah. And then 2 years later, we went to Argentina and did the same thing and performed in Buenos Aires. So a lot of fun.
So I guess what was that like? Because I always saw or had friends in orchestra or band that got to go on trips, and I was not a musical kid. So when you're going to these, I understand the cultural thing, but where are you performing? Are you performing at their high schools or is it somewhere else?
Yeah, good question. In Beijing, we performed at some high schools. Yep. I think then also they rented out spaces and just did kind of more public concerts. And then in Argentina, we actually set up in plazas outside. I mean, I would assume that this was all coordinated, that we didn't just show up. And
now you're just
yeah, I've never actually thought about how this works, but yeah, in Argentina there was more of open air playing. But in both cases, we were there for 10 days and maybe performed on 4 or 5 of the days, and then did more touristy things the other days.
Yeah, I mean, if you're already going to make that flight,
yeah,
then it's hey, we need to have some time to do some fun stuff.
Definitely. And I don't know, I mean, I probably wouldn't have gone to China or Argentina on my own just for fun. So it's kind of was a very nice,
especially in that time frame. That
Yes.
seems like a weird thing.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm just going to go to China.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. You also mentioned that you have some exercise obsessions. I noticed that they seem to be evolving because apparently first you did swimming and then you got into rowing, which is slightly above the water. And now I guess you do CrossFit. So why are you leaving the water and when are you going to start flying?
Oh, never. Yeah, I swam in elementary and middle school, and the running family joke, I guess. I was quite good at it, and one season my mom signed up my sister to swim with me. She was like, there's 4 of us, 2 may as well do the same activity. Yeah. And my sister and I literally goofed off at the end of the pool and like splashed each other every single training session, basically. And then I stopped swimming. So
you're going to be an Olympian, and then your sister came along.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought it was going to be a different situation where it was like you were kind of okay, and then like your sister came, and then you got really hardcore and competed with her.
No, sadly, no. We just kind of goofed off, which we do even now. If we go to exercise classes now, like yoga or whatever, we just sit there laughing the whole time. So, yeah. But then rowing I picked up in college, first day of freshman year. The rowing coaches basically prowl the campus for tall people. I am tall, so they approached me about walking onto the team. Their walk-on program is a robust way for them to fill out the team in addition to the people that they recruit. And walked on and never really looked back from there. It was
so they didn't
great.
add your sister to the team?
No, my sister was not added. But I did meet my husband rowing, so I'm sure that played a factor in my motivation to continue rowing.
Okay, well, and now you do CrossFit. So how did you get into that?
Yeah, after the intensity of rowing in college, wanted some physical exercise when I graduated, and tried a bunch of different things, going to exercise classes, yoga, running on my own, and CrossFit was the one that stuck. It felt most like being on a team, and it was intense, and someone is screaming at you. And
okay, so you like that aspect of things.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Very interesting.
Yeah, highly motivating. So I've kind of stuck with it since then.
Okay, yeah, because I had been wondering, like, how do they sell people on rowing? And it's like, hey, you know what you can do is we will not give you a scholarship, and you can spend your mornings waking up really early and doing a lot of exercise.
Pretty much, yep.
And apparently that was appealing to you.
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. You also mentioned that you are a huge advocate of Down syndrome and disability awareness. So why is this important to you? And let's do some awareness stuff right now. What should people be aware of when they're thinking about talking to or working with or et cetera, with people with Down syndrome or other disabilities?
Yeah. So I mentioned I have 3 siblings. My oldest brother, so brother, sister, me and another sister. My brother has Down syndrome. So that was just a huge part of my life growing up. Him and I were in a lot of classes together because in Princeton it was kind of nice. The school mainstreamed him in some classes, and then he had special ed classes for other subjects. Yeah. So, we've spent a lot of time together. He has now moved to Boise and lives quite close to us, and I've, had the pleasure of raising my kids around him, and it's just, it's been a really wonderful experience all around. Obviously comes with its hard days, but overall positive experience. Yeah. So I guess I would say 2 things. One thing for me is always, I prefer people to ask me questions. There's no wrong questions. I'm not going to be offended. And the greatest thing that you can do is try to include Max and, educate yourself and become more aware of what's going on. And similarly for Max, like he loves talking to people and, is all around mostly just a normal, friendly guy. And so, I always get most frustrated when people shy away from the opportunity to interact with him or, enjoy a conversation with him.
So just embrace the awkwardness.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, if you're feeling awkward, it's okay.
Yes.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can see that. So you mentioned that he's also moved to Boise. Has any of the rest of your family moved to Boise or no?
My mom. Yep. I'm the only one of my siblings with kids. So my mom, moved to be close to us to see her grandkids.
Okay. I was going to say, why Boise? Because initially, your husband was saying, let's go to Seattle. So why Boise?
Yeah. Particularly when COVID hit, Seattle changed a lot. A lot of big cities obviously changed, and we were just ready for a smaller city, more space, more outdoor opportunities for our kids. So took a leap of faith. I was 6 weeks postpartum with our second, and we packed our bags and moved to Boise.
That sounds like a fun time to move.
Yeah, it was delightful.
Well, at least you didn't have to move all the way across the country that time. It was only a few hours.
Exactly.
Okay. What is something that people misunderstand about you?
Oh, good question. I think sometimes, the German, I can come off as more, stern or serious than I actually am. And, I'm generally a quite warm and friendly person. But I definitely take things very seriously, and especially in the work context, want to make sure that people understand that. So it's a balance.
Yeah, I was going to say, in Slack, you seemed very friendly and approachable, at least. But this is the first we've interacted in person.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you are scary, but I'm not sure. Do you have any questions for me? I get to ask lots of you, but you only get one.
Tell me about your Super Daddy-O mug that I've been staring at this entire interview.
Oh, my daughter got it for me for Christmas because we both like Super Mario. It's one of the things that we are able to bond over, and it's like, appropriate for pretty much all ages.
Yes.
So it's like,
oh, I love that. Very
although
cute.
It's a little disturbing when she's like shouting at Goombas to die. It's like, let's maybe calm that one down.
Yes. Yeah, that's funny.
Okay. Before we get into the 5 important questions, I need you to give me a top 5 list in a segment we'll call Give Me 5. Yeah, so just so you're aware, we start at number 5, we go up to number 1. Do you have a top 5 list ready, or do you want me to give you my suggestions?
I liked yours of things to do in
Okay,
Boise.
cool. Then I'll go ahead and read through that, and then I'll just start this whole paragraph over. Make it a little easier. Okay, so before we go to the 5 important questions, I need you to give me a top 5 list in a segment we'll call Give Me 5. It seems like not everyone knows the rules of good top 5 lists. We need to start at number 5 and go up to number 1, because once you reveal the first one, then why would you listen to the rest? My family's going to Boise this summer. I have a family reunion there, so I would like to know some good places to visit. Since you live there, you should probably know some good places. So do you have a list that you can give me for a top 5?
I do.
Okay, then let's go ahead and start. Let's start with the number 5, best place to visit in Boise.
Okay, number 5 is the Potato Museum or the Potato Factory. I forget what it's called.
Okay.
But it was kind of underwhelming, which is why it's number 5. I think you should go. It's not as exciting as you would think.
I mean, the first thing when anyone says Idaho is potatoes. So.
Yeah. Get a little bit of history in there.
Okay, and it's not going to be a situation where there's a potato museum and a potato factory and they're like rivals and like one's...
No, there's one in the same. I believe it's like sponsored or owned by Simplot, which is the biggest potato grower in the U.S. or something.
Okay.
I don't know. I may be spewing misinformation.
That's okay. No one should get their information from these things. Anyway. All right. Number 4. What's the 4th best place to visit in Boise?
Number 4, I would have to say, is the Birds of Prey Museum. Is actually pretty neat. It's an outdoor museum, and you see a bunch of birds of prey, hawks, that kind of stuff. And it's cool.
Is that your biology interest coming back?
Maybe. Yeah.
Or birds of prey are just cool.
Yeah, they're very cool.
Okay. What's number 3?
So if you're kind of outdoorsy, there's a fun hike called Table Rock, and it's, a pretty prominent mountain, hill, I don't even know what you would call it. In Boise, it takes about 2.5 hours round trip, and you hike up and you see the whole city, and then you hike back down.
That sounds very efficient and all right, let's go see it. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Number 2.
Number 2 is Fancy Freeze.
Okay.
It's an ice cream / burger drive-through. We have only ever gotten soft serve from them.
I was going to say that doesn't fit in with your whole anti-fast food.
Yes, but this place is very fun. They've been around, I don't even know how long they've been around. Very old school, but yeah, they do old school soft serve, and you can dip it in different things. And
all right, well, that sounds very appealing, so I'm glad it's high up on the list. All right, what's the number 1 place to visit?
Number 1 is my house. You have to come and visit my family.
Okay. All right. Sold. All right. Perfect. Let's go ahead and the next section before we get into the 5 important questions. You have to start a rental company a month from now. You don't really get a whole lot of time to prepare. Obviously, you actually have a little more experience as far as researching your markets, but let's say you don't have enough time to do too much. You got to set something up in Boise in a month. What kind of rental business are you opening?
I would probably rent baby gear. That's maybe a little cheating because that has totally taken off in bigger cities, and I don't think has really exists in Boise yet. But one primary outlet is for people traveling to Boise so that they can rent gear, but also just for families. Early on, there's so much stuff that you feel like you have to buy, but then you use once. So that's probably what I would do.
Yeah, it seems like a good idea. Mm-hmm. If anyone steals that idea, then make sure.
Now I know why. Yeah.
Make sure to cut Kat in. All right.
5 important questions. 5 important questions. 5 important questions.
Okay, let's get into the 5 important questions. I'm sorry I've wasted your time with so many unimportant, useless questions. Number 1, what would you say is your greatest success in life?
Tie between marrying my husband and my 3 kids. Husband was required 4 kids, so.
Okay. I feel like that's kind of cheating to award them combined, but we'll allow it just so we don't cause any issues. Second question, what is your greatest fear?
I have severe barfophobia. I don't know what the medical
I don't think
term
that's
is.
the medical term.
Yeah, whatever the medical term is, seeing people throw up, me throwing up, thinking about throw up, this whole question is just giving me the heebie-jeebies.
Hey, you decided to go there. I'm not interested in talking about that either. I don't have a phobia, but also gross. If you could tell first day at Record360 Kat one piece of advice, what would you tell her?
Gosh, just that the journey is going to be a lot of fun. I don't know. I never expected to be at Record360 for 5 years, or now to be part of the Point of Rental family. I mean, it's been a journey, but it's been a lot of fun. Good. Well, I'm glad you're still having fun. Yeah. What is your most embarrassing moment as a, we'll say, recorder? I made up that name. Apparently, Record360 doesn't have their own demonym, so I'm giving it to you. You guys are now recorders. I love that. That's great. I'm going to adopt that. Most embarrassing moment. Well, 2019, we had a team offsite, and I challenged the co-founder of the business, Damon, to a foot race up a hill. Mm-hmm. It was pretty late at night. We were all getting ready to go back to the hotel, and I was convinced I was going to beat him. I'm way younger than him. I do CrossFit, and he won. And it was crushing. That's one of those things where it seems like maybe that bet is this is a little too good to be true. He must have been training on this hill somehow. It's like he knew. Yeah. Okay, well, sorry I have to sentence you to death. Apparently losing a race up a hill to Damon is now a capital offense. Oh, gosh. Sorry. I bet you didn't know those were the stakes when you made that bet. What is your last meal and why? Ribs. I love ribs. There's
I just want to take that quote out of context.
yeah, there's nothing more to it, and it's kind of off-brand because they're messy and
You're about to die, so
yeah. But
what do you care?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Do you want any sides? Any dessert? Anything else?
Oh,
Any beverage?
I mean, I also really like donuts, so
Okay.
we can throw a donut in there.
That's a combination I have not heard before.
And my favorite beverage is English breakfast tea, so we can have some tea too. Why not?
We'll call this an eclectic taste
Yes.
that you have here.
Yeah.
Okay. If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
Oh, I think maybe sometimes I'm too direct with people and it makes them uncomfortable. Maybe we do that.
Okay. I mean, you can choose whatever you want. And that's the beautiful thing about it. If you could change one thing at Record360 or Point of Rental, what would it be? And this is like a snap change.
Yeah, good question. What would I change at Record360? I don't know. Sometimes I go back and forth between, the glory days of us having been in person and being able to see people all the time. I'm an introvert, so also not like every day, maybe like once a week.
Yeah.
So maybe that, I don't know. Maybe that's cheating.
I think that's something that I think the other Record360 people both mentioned is like being able to like be there, but also not all we need is to have time and space.
Yes. Yeah.
Be bendable so that we can also go into the office, but also live where we live.
Yeah.
and be
Yep.
good.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've changed the what is your spirit spice now, so you don't have to worry about that unless you have a really great spirit spice.
No.
Okay. What is your pet peeve?
Ugh, annoying people.
But like,
what makes them annoying?
Exactly.
We at Record360, when people start, we have them fill out a working with me doc, which basically has a bunch of different quadrants about how to best work with you. And one of them is specifically this, like what drives you crazy. And the thing I always say is when I feel like someone is wasting my time, which is a little bit unfair because they may not be trying to, it's very much like an on me perception. But yes, I appreciate efficiency.
All right. Well, that does sound very German. I apologize for wasting your time.
This whole interview.
Exactly. We haven't actually been recording any of this. Sorry. Thank you, Kat, for chatting today.
Thank you, Brian, for having me.
Good. Thank you also to Andrew Sherrington and Daria Tucker for the work behind the scenes, and to everyone who made it to this point with us. Thank you for watching. Rate, subscribe, review, share us with a friend. Let me keep talking to people like Kat, and we'll leave the porch light burning for you. You would think I would know that one by now. I don't.